Good morning, traders, and welcome to Flow with the Markets Tuesday, volume 156. I hope you're having an amazing start of your week, and also happy new month. It's the 2nd of August, Tuesday, so let's have a look how we can adapt to what we analyzed on the weekly outlook and setups of Saturday. Of course, you know, this video, I keep it pretty straightforward. There is no editing. There is just me rambling a little bit, right, and trying to forecast what could happen potentially today and for the remaining of the week. But you know that I'm mainly a day trader, so the thing that I mostly care about is what is going to happen today, right? Or even more focused, I need to know what's going to happen during this session, right? Because I usually trade London, so this is where my focus goes. And really, I don't look too much at the monthly candles, at the weekly candles, because yes, sure, the weekly could be bullish, but I can be taking shorts all week long. But of course, it's always good to be aware of that macro picture. I think next week, this Saturday, the incoming Saturday, we can do also a monthly analysis so that we really train ourselves to know that top-down analysis process and really to know where all the major currency pairs are headed, right? But of course, right now, I'm just gonna scroll through all the pairs. I'm sorry for not putting timestamps on the Flow with the Markets Tuesdays because it usually takes a lot of time. The market is already open, it's already operating. So let's have an analysis and let's jump into the charts. So of course, first of all, I would love for you to check your economic calendars because this week we have a couple of important news releases. We just had this morning the interest rate decision from the RBA, and indeed they hiked their rates by 50 basis points, which quite interestingly was met with bearishness on the pair, which usually means that already the rate hike has been taken into account, has been priced in, and this is usually what tricks people. Interest rate increase, the market should pump, but it actually flushes, right? But sometimes it's also manipulation. So on Monday, we didn't have something very important. We have a couple of news right there, retail sales, then we had the unemployment rate, which was important, and manufacturing PMI, pretty important as well. Wednesday, we have a couple of speeches and a couple of those S&P Global Services PMI, retail sales for the euro, right? PPI right there. And then we have PMI for services PMI for the US. We had manufacturing PMI on Monday. Thursday is a big day for the pound, right? So just stay tuned. The pound right there, as speeches, of course, press conferences, rate hikes. They are also expected to hike their rate by 50 basis points. Everybody's taking action right now, which is good to fight inflation. Speech right there from the euro, speech from the Fed, right? So a lot of things happening. And of course, Friday, the cherry of the cake, NFP, which is usually accompanied by a couple of other news releases, right? So usually that first week of the month is packed with news, and I know some traders are fully skipping this week, just taking a break, just observing the market, seeing how the monthly candle is going to open, and then how you can better position yourself to trade. All right, so knowing all of this, let's have a look what is happening. So Dixie prediction goes as expected. We are straight flushing into the lows, taking out this week low right there, and of course attacking this kind of area that we forecasted. So right now we are into that zone. So again, do not expect the market to just stop right now and just start reversing. Okay, first thing the market's gonna do, it's gonna accumulate a little bit, it's gonna form a range. So I don't know whether it's gonna form like a big range like this, or is it just gonna consolidate a little bit and start shifting, right? We never know. But currently, again, the flow of this market is bearish, so we keep shorting until we are wrong. Okay, slightly bit hard to identify really like the major lower high. This has been a debate that we've been having in the Fanatic community about like wick breaks, body breaks. What is like the leg that we should be considering the major structure? What is like more of an in between, like minor structure, right? So right now, again, if you really look at the macro leg, well, this is the deeper pullback that we had. So currently we're trading within this range. But if you also zoom in, you can see that we have those pullback candles, right? So we have a bearishness right there, pullback, lower low, right? So according to me, this right there is a pretty important high to consider, and of course a very important supply area, because if this supply area gets invalidated, then this means that buyers are coming in, right? And if I just go to the 15 minute, what we can see is where's my Asian range? Plot the Asian range quickly. We can see that the Asian range was formed right there, this push, and of course we have this this kind of zone just above the Asian range, and of course we have the zone within the Asian range, right? So those are all potential shorting areas for the Dixie, because the 4-hourly is bearish, the 50-minute is bearish, everything is bearish so far. So what I would love to do is just follow this flow, right? So what I would expect for now is for the market to tap inside this and continue lower. If it doesn't respect this one, it's gonna grab more liquidity and head towards this area, and then of course go lower. But there is a big but. All right, the big but for this analysis right now is that once again we are trading into a very major demand zone, right? So this is like the big daily zone refined to the 4H. We're also tapping it right there, filling in all of this imbalance right there, right? So that is pretty important. So continuing to take shorts from such a zone is slightly bit risky, okay? So what could be happening right now, what could be cooking, is a potential reversal, right? The break of this major lower high, right? And if this happens, then of course what I will be doing is taking longs into this major lower high. Okay, because look at that trend line right there. Look at that, it's all liquidity, it's all flat highs, right? So all of this can get taken very easily, okay? So stay tuned for that. Again, those are my 3 scenarios today. As of right now, we can start initiating with bullish pressure, creating a trend change, right? So then I start looking for longs into New York. And then of course I have 2 potential shorting opportunities, right? That are either from this zone or from this zone right there, and pretty much this whole 4-hourly big zone right there. So again, let's see what happens. Currently it's 7:38. This is 20 minutes before, yeah, around 22 minutes before Frankfurt opens. So I'm doing it early because I'm going to be traveling today again, and I'm not going to be able to sit down and trade, right? So currently the market is a bit quiet. Usually I like doing those flow with the markets Tuesday when the market is already moving into Frankfurt open, so I can give you more insights about like the manipulation and what is happening. But right now the market is still dead. So this is what I would be expecting on the Dixie. Going on to EU, let's check it out. Yes, so we analyzed that inside bar, right, on the weekly, I believe it was. Yep, supply failed. Then we have, of course, 4-hourly demand, beautiful potential break that I marked right there, and the inside bar has also been taken. So all targets were achieved on Monday. I also took a lovely long somewhere from within right there, right? It was very early at 8:30 Frankfurt open. But yes, right now what I don't like about this pair, so currently forecast beautiful, Monday actually reached our targets, is that we're taking out again this very strong liquidity high, and again we can initiate the big pullback. So this is one of the scenarios. I'm still sleeping, man. 7:40. One of the scenarios that can develop is for us to take all of this flat price action right there, right? Because if you look at which is our major leg on the 4H, well, this is the deepest pullback that we had before actually heading higher, right? And there is our 50%. Okay, so I'm not saying that we're going to turn bearish right now and make this deeper pullback, but this is again similarly to what I explained on the Dixie, one of the outcomes of today. Okay, so yesterday was actually pretty straightforward. Where is it? Yeah, let me remove the Asian range for now because it distracts me. Yes, I had this zone right there. There is the most recent structure break. We had a little liquidity gap, and I took my trade from precisely right there. And I just took my profits at the high, right? There are some liquidity highs right there. And on this bullish engulfing candle, I hit TP, and then it continued for a 5.2 R, and then it continued to 10.2 R. And then of course it continued towards target, but yeah, I didn't hold. But of course, I'm very happy with the trade. So right now it's a slightly bit tricky, as I told you. So we have a couple of areas. So before I went to bed yesterday, I was marking this wick, right? Come on. I was marking this wick, and what I usually tell you about wicks is that they tend to get filled around 50 to 25%. This one perfectly filled, like it didn't really tap 50%, but it crossed the 25 and went towards like a 40 something percent wick fill, right? And then we went ahead and made a new high right there. My voice starts disappearing again, too early in the morning. And currently I have a couple of areas to look for long. So this one is already being tapped, but what we have is the market failing to break above, right? So we had a tap inside and the market failed to break above this, what is a minor lower high, right? It's not major because it didn't break structure, but it's minor, and I would love to see this break above so I can see, okay, order flow is turning bullish. While right now we tapped inside, we tried to push, we failed, and we're just ranging. Okay, so I have this zone, I have this wick potentially, and I have this wick again, but the 50% of it. Okay, so if this level fails, and of course if this one right there is broken, right, then I think, okay, we are headed towards the lows. Okay, so what we need right now on Tuesday is to really flow with the markets and judge the session opening momentum. Okay, so of course what I would love to see is the market tap inside right there, maybe take out this low as liquidity, and then of course reverse and attack a new high. If this demand fails right there, then of course we have the next one, which is this, the wick, and maybe a little bit below the wick towards 50% of that wick right there, right? So this whole area right there could be the next one. And if everything fails, then of course we're gonna know that the market is reversing. There is a little problem though, that if this breaks right there, we're gonna have a shift of the trend, right? Because this is currently my major 50-minute high low that made the push. So if we actually close below it, then this is gonna mean the potential trend change on the 15-minute, right? So that would mean that if we break below, we can also start looking for shorts. Okay, so I usually hate these scenarios when I'm overthinking too much and when I have quite a few scenarios, right? Usually I would love to see, like yesterday, 4H is long, 50-minute is long, I'm gonna look for longs. Right now it's still the same, right? 4H is long, 50-minute is long, so I'm going to be looking for longs right now. But if we actually start breaking below, and the only reason I think we're going to break below is that we took out this major high, and usually what happens when we take a major high is the market is going to initiate a pullback. Okay, so keep this on the back of your mind, but of course know that currently we are bullish, and if you really want to know what we need to break before getting bearish, it's this little guy right there. Why? Because this is this is the 4-hourly zone that we have this big sell before the buy, right? So overall within this area I will be looking for longs, but if we really start to commit to the downside with bearish momentum, then I'm going to be shifting to shorts. So this is my current outlook on EU. It's not like very precise, but this is what we can work with right now. So again, as I told you, wait for the session opening momentum and then we strike. EJ, massive flush, continues to flush. I think probably you're gonna have tradable opportunities on the 15-minute on this one, right? Just going on to the 15-minute. There is this push, there is this pullback, there is another push, pullback right there. But yeah, it doesn't tend to pull back like towards ranges like this, let's say. So there is one right there. There is one right there. This is Asia, and just continues to flow to the downside, right? So EJ, very trending. So if you're not in on a short, like from the higher areas right there, then you're just not in, right? So right now, how can I adapt to this one? Well, it's rather tricky for me to adapt on this one because I don't like structure like this. Like one candle pullback, push, one candle pullback, push, one candle pullback, push, right? So where is my major lower high right now? You can go to the line chart, but of course you have like pullbacks right there. What I currently do is I see which candles did not make a new higher high or lower low. So in this case, it's this bullish candle. So I'm going to take this bullish candle as my pullback candle that formed a new lower high because it's a clean pullback. And then all the next candles, well, this bearish candle did not make a new lower low. So it also could be. But yes, this is how I'm currently looking at it, right? It's it just doesn't have an opportunity right now. It's extended to the downside. It might be tapping something on the left, but I'm not gonna go long on this pair with such massive momentum. So don't try to look for something on the left, try to catch the bottom. No, please, right? Just follow the current momentum. It is bearish, so your best opportunity is to go short, okay? But first of all, of course, you're gonna need a deeper pullback towards this range, then the 15-minute to shift, and then of course you're gonna take your short. Okay, so let's see what's gonna happen, but currently what I would advise you to do is just follow the flow on the 15-minute. There is the last lower high, lower low, lower high. Right now we are just, we're just making a lower low, but with a little wick. So if the market starts shifting to the upside like that, yes, feel free to take a counter trend trade, but stop soon as the market is gonna tap into supply and potentially gonna carry on with the flowery trend. Okay, so that's EJ. Aussie dollar, so as expected, it went bullish. because we were kind of marking out this supply right there, thinking that, is this a break right there? Is this a reversal? But again, the overall flow of the market is bullish, okay? So right now we're tapping into this supply, which is why we're probably reacting, right? We're deeper above, well, we're not very deep, but a little bit above 50%, tapping into this extreme supply, right? And giving this beautiful reaction. But again, probably still bullish, right? And we're just right now pulling back towards the 50% of the range, taking some liquidity, which is resting right there, right? And potentially about to tap into this wick. And again, what I tell you about wicks, they tend to get filled 25 to 50%. So I'm looking to see whether we're going to come in inside and if we're going to shift bullish, okay? Possible for this one to be the weekly high. And again, it's possible for the market to be bullish, taking the interest rate into account already, right? Because sometimes, like, let's say the interest rate announcement is here, like this is a day, right? And the market again just starts to trend bullish, taking this interest rate hike into account, because probably institutions know very well that the Bank of Australia are going to hike the rate. And then of course the day of the hike comes in and the market flushes. Why? Well, because the interest rate hike has already been priced in, right? So right now they take profits, right? Thinking that all the people will be buying right now, the institutions are probably going to sell. This is how I personally interpret it. I haven't studied this somewhere, and I don't have any proof of it, right? But this is something that, because you have to be a little bit counterintuitive as well with trading. So currently, yes, we're pulling back. The fall is still bullish, so I'm not rushing to take any shorts, but I'm afraid you do not have right now a great tradable setup on AU, because again, interest rate went out and we just flushed, right? So right now, you don't have any confirmation for longs, right? The market is just about to probably tap inside the demand, taking liquidity right now. You don't have any longs, and you also don't have any shorts, because the last area for me to short is this guy right there. So kind of extended. So usually after interest rate, you don't want to trade that pair, because usually it's either like a big pump or a big wick, and then it tends to do some fun stuff. So let's see how, of course, this one is going to carry on. But yes, I would love to see it right there, and then to see a 50-minute shift bullish. If the market starts to pull back right now, I would love to also take a short with the overall momentum. But again, you need to adapt a little bit, and we need to flow with the markets right now. So let's see. Currently it's not really in the middle, it's below the middle of the 50%, but it just doesn't have a tradable setup. So I'm looking either for this demand to tap or for the market to initiate the pullback and then give me a short down. So as simple as that. AJ is also probably dumping, because the we have seen that the JPY is again very strong. Yen pairs are flushing, and with the interest rate on the Aussie, AJ just dumped, right? It dumped. It didn't provide the pullback as we expected, and it just crushed the low right there, which is, yeah, probably, I don't remember much, but yeah, I was telling you about all the JPYs that they on a couple of occasions failed to make a new high, which of course this low, it becomes liquidity. There it is, right? Tapped on Tuesday. Yeah, it's already Tuesday. So what you can do in this one, well, wait, right? You can just wait, because it's really extended right now. Like your major lower high on the 4H is this. It's pretty clean. Right now, the 15-minute is just trending to the downside. So all you can do is just wait either for 4H or for a 50-minute pullback and keep going with the trend, right? Or of course, wait for the market to start accumulating on the 4H right there and creating the shift to the upside. But yes, those trending pairs, if you're not in, as I say, you're not in, right? All you can do right now is just flow with the markets, wait for that pullback on the 15-minute, and then scale in. Okay, NZD probably the same as the Aussie. Yeah, creating a beautiful high, and right now initiating a pullback. Very simple. It still has a lot of space to travel towards the 50%. There is that little candle, that little bearish candle that potentially created like a rally-based rally demand, and then you have the wick similarly to the Aussie. So let's see how it's going to travel towards these areas. I'm going to be looking for that 50% tap. Currently the 50-minute has been shifted to bearish, right? So potentially if we pull back towards this range right there, I will be looking for shorts, as long as we're not tapping 50%, right? So similar to the Aussie, this one is just dumping right now, so there is nothing much you can do. What I would love to see is a pullback lower high and a continuation lower. This will be my setup. Or of course, if it keeps dumping to the downside, then I will wait for it to tap into the demand 50% and then see how it's going to play out. And if we're going to reverse, which is probably going to happen tomorrow or on Thursday, Okay, so right now follow that bearish momentum, but be mindful that the 4H is bullish. NJ probably the same as well. Yeah, just dumping, crushing all those levels. Yeah, it didn't pull back much. But what it did is it formed this pullback candle. What I just told you about, it was one of those pairs while I was finding it hard to identify the lower highs. This is why I do it like this, because usually you mark levels like that, they never get tapped. This is a clean pullback candle, then the new lower low was made, then we pull back beautifully. So technically right there, I do think on the 50-minute, look at that, right? The market comes in, reacts, higher high. There is the break of the last higher low. There is your trend change, retest, right? The retest happened at 16, which is New York Open. So some of you should be in this trade, right? You should be like from there, stop loss above, nice swing trade right there. So what you can do right now, nothing again. So the market is retesting right now some daily zones with massive bearish momentum on the daily. So what I would say is just follow this, right? Follow this. There is your major lower high on the 4H right now. You're probably going to have some minor structure on the 50-minute to trade from. There it is. This kind of wick right there. So of course, what you can do right now is wait for the market to pull back to this guy and see if it's going to hold. If it doesn't hold and breaks, then of course you have a long opportunity towards the 4-hourly supply, and then you can again take a short. So that's my outlook on NJ, but I'm not trading those pairs. So not really a lot of focus goes on to them, but bearish, right? Don't fight this bearish momentum right now. And yes, UJ, we can see that again, it just pulled back towards that little guy we marked, tapped it quickly. And yeah, it just opened and just the flush, right? Nothing else, nothing more. So yes, we're pulling back towards 50% deeper below. We took out this low, right? So yes, what we can do right now is again try to find our range. Our major lower high is this clean pullback. There is our range, which is not complete yet because we're still pushing lower. So what we can do again is wait, right? You can of course intraday trade. Opportunities like this, right, are nicely tradable right now, but again, just right now we are a little bit extended. So I do think not a lot on the table for this morning. So right now you can just wait for the market to start shifting to the upside and taking counter trend trades towards the 50%, and then of course position yourself with the overall higher time frame trend to the downside. So nothing much on UJ. Pound. Yeah, pound, we said that this could be a shift to the downside, but we also have this very strong demand. So the market kind of went in towards right there, but already on Monday, London Open, we were pushing up. So creating a new beautiful high, right? And yes, we're tapping deeper into that supply on the left, but currently what is the structure doing? It is bullish. We have a brand new range right now. We have this little POI right there, point of interest that we can look for trades, and then we have this wick right there. So again, the market is a bit extended right now. It's potentially going to travel towards the 50%. The 50-minute I would like to see shift a little bit more bearish, right? Hard to identify where my major higher low is. It could be this guy right there, already shifted. This one could be, right? But what I see right now is that supply is already starting to take over. So there is the first one. So if this structure right now breaks, then that is going to be a confirmation. So then what you can do is look for a pullback towards this zone and take a short, right? So that level right there can be broken to be used as liquidity. But yes, I will be looking for 1.22 for a potential pullback before we launch the buy orders into the highs. Okay, so that is GU, plain and simple. Right now, it's going to start forming new supply areas to trade from, right? You can trade either from the extremities, which is going to be this wick potentially. You can trade from a more recent one, which is like this. You pick it, and of course this is why you need to have an entry criteria on the lower time frames, because you usually don't know which kind of support and resistance, supply and demand is going to get respected. Okay, but I am currently bearish for the session of pound. We might be taking the Asian low right now for potential longs as well, so who knows, we might actually respect this guy right there and turn bullish. Okay, so just follow the flow, but currently the 50-minute is bearish, right? And we know that the 4H is a bit extended. Potentially a higher high might be forming right now to pull us back towards a new higher low. So taking this into consideration, I would say that I'm going to be looking for sells rather than buys on GU, but of course I will be aware of the buys as well. GJ is probably, what I'm going to say is what we can do, nothing, taking out the major low. We did not, wow. I was expecting a deep pullback on this guy, right? Nope. He said no. Major lower high once again is this guy right there. There is our new range, which hasn't formed yet. So wait for the bullish candle to form so you can form your range. And pretty similar to all the JPYs, you can right now just follow the 50-minute structure. There's your last structure break. There is your last 50-minute lower high. If it taps, try to take a short on the lower time frame. If it breaks, then you have a trend change and you can start looking for longs towards 50% or towards the supply. Okay, so as simple as that. That's it. Let's have a look at gold. Yeah, gold continues to go, pulling back towards 50%, filling in that empty space right there. Looks pretty good. So let's see. I still think like 1780 or 1800s definitely can get tapped. It looks a bit extended to the upside right now. So can we initiate a little bit of a pullback to the downside? We'll see, right? So currently, this is a little demand that we're tapping. Yeah, oh man, gold is always giving me a hard time. Yeah, so that is a demand that can potentially be a liquidity low. So I'm going to be looking to see how the market is going to respond from this demand and if we can shift bullish. And if this demand breaks, then potentially we can expect like a little bit of a deeper pullback. Why is this demand? Because this is a pullback candle that made a 4-hourly high low and then broke structure. Okay, so this is my most recent level. I'm still bullish, but if we start kind of reversing right now to the downside, then potentially we can get a deeper pullback before we come in. All right, but overall, as I said on the daily, I will be looking for the market to pull us back a little bit higher. So let's see if that is going to happen. But if we start shifting right now to bearish, don't be afraid to take shorts. Okay, US 30 pulling deep into the zone, right? So I would expect maybe a little bit of a bigger push, but in order for me to start taking shorts on that pair, I would need to see clean break. Right now, yes, we're having those little kind of spikes above right now, like breaking with a wick, right? But yes, I'm giving it some time, waiting for something like this in order to take a short. So nothing much to update on indices. Usually Monday is rather slow. There is NASDAQ respecting this demand so far. So as long as we stay above it, we're bullish, right? Hopefully another leg into the highs to tap into the daily supply. That is right there. S&P is also not doing much right now, just starting to accumulate, which is good. Hopefully we're going to reverse so we can buy some more stocks. Bitcoin, okay, this analysis still looks good. Nothing changes. The flow right now is bullish. We're breaking structure above. So let's see if we can start scaling into longs. And Ethereum is also tapping into the supply, responding. But right now the daily is bullish, right? So the flow is bullish. So let's see if we can catch any longs from a level like this. Okay, so guys, I'm gonna leave it there. Hopefully this was insightful. Just to sum it up very quickly, Dixie is still shorts, right? 4-hourly shorts, 15-minute is shorts, but we're tapping into a very major demand, which might cause a little bit of an explosion to the upside, which means that EU might flush, GU might flush, and AU might flush, right? EU, there is my view, right? I have a couple of demand zones that I will be looking to take longs from, right? GU, we saw that it's slightly bit bearish, but again, as I told you, could be just spiking below the Asian low to reverse into longs. And if you want to enter longs, then wait for the market to again manipulate, break structure, and then look for something like this, right? Aussie dollar and the JPYs, by the way, just no opportunities. I believe the Aussie is just tapping into demand. So you have to wait for a clean 15-minute shift, something like this. And yeah, pretty much that's it, guys. Hopefully I was sufficient enough and not very fast. I wish you a very profitable day. I wish you a very profitable week. If you have any questions, you know where to find me, Telegram, email. Don't trust the scammers that are commenting in, under my name or having different Telegram channels. Make sure that you're speaking with me. I'm never going to ask you for anything, right? So I'm just going to help you. I'm not going to ask you to invest with me or anything. A lot of scammers out there, so beware of those guys. And yes, I can't wait to speak to you on my next video already.